This video shows step-by-step how to implement a floating menu for a floating action button, together with a few practical examples. Once you have mastered the basics, your only limit is your fantasy. First, we create a new single-view application. We rename the default view controller. We also clean up the code. We make sure to choose the smallest device on the market. It can avoid quite some grief on large projects. Most of all apps have a navigation bar. Let's add this. Align it to the top and make sure it does not move away. Now add all controls you need for your application. By dragging the mouse and pressing the Control key on your keyboard, you may connect controls to the code pane. It is a good idea to copy the control name first to memory. Some code adds the magic of this century. Before running the first time, check the emulated device and the minimum iOS version. Choose the most crappy device from the device list. Anything which runs on such a device is widely supported. An iPhone 5S with iOS 9.3 is a good choice for about 95% of all devices currently used. Older devices cannot view the most recent App Store anyway. Although the app has almost no code yet, it already works. In order to create a floating menu, we need to add a button over the top of all controls. It is quite a job to get it right. Repeat as often as necessary, and consider to zoom in a bit. Remove the label, since we want to use only the surface of the button. The alpha parameter determines the grade of transparency. A value of 1 is opaque, and a value of 0 is completely clear. Because it works, it needs also a background color. Do not despair. XCode is yet unaware of your desires. Now, the button is semi-transparent and will not allow a click-through. It allows us to capture any clicks outside the menu, and thus hide it when needed. If we can't see the selection handles of a control, the component list is of great help. Here, we simply hide the button by setting its transparency level to 0. Now, the underlying controls receive click events. Not anymore, see? Commenting code is always a good idea, because you can easily forget your battles. At this point, it is advised to create a function. Functions help to group a portion of code to a logical unit. If you leave all hacks and fixes at the place you started, you will quickly have what we call spaghetti code. Functions permit to call the same piece of code from everywhere. For a moment, we comment this line in order to see the menu background button work. This is the moment where we create another function. You guessed it, it's for showing the menu button. Most of the developer's work is to copy existing code and modify it in order to meet new conditions. Now we can use the virgin function for exciting application features. On top of the button, we design a simple empty view. How large this view becomes depends on the number of controls contained and the features you want to show. You can then move this view around, animate it, and make impressive transitions. All these things we love to see. When you have decided and designed all controls within, you center it on the screen and set its constraints. XCode desperately tries to guess what you want, but it never gets it right. The component list is once again the life belt. Now we must move this view in and out of sight. We can choose any direction, vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and an arbitrary route. We can move it and resize it at the same time, and we can fade it in many ways. We need to change the constraints in order to move the view around. Do not move the view too far, because then the animations look unrealistic. However, if the values are too small, the view remains visible on larger devices. We now add a floating action button and surround it with code. The button has no constraints yet. Let us see the results. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.